So right now I'm pushing on just 11 months with no alcohol. This is the longest break from alcohol I've ever taken, and feeling really good. I initially was just going to take 30 days, and that was like, I'm feeling good. Let's go to 3 months, and then it's 6 months. Then I was like, let's just go a year. And now I don't know if I'm going to drink again. I'm sure I will at some point in my life. I'm not going to say I'm going to stay sober the rest of my life, but I'm definitely not going to rush into it. So over the past 5 years, I've kind of been on this path of removing alcohol from my kind of day to day. There was a point in time where I was definitely exhibiting alcoholic behaviors. I was drinking up to a fifth a day, or at least a half a fifth a day of Jameson. Was using Adderall, was using drugs. I was doing well in school and still kind of had my priorities straight, was still training and eating right, but my sleep was fucked. My stress levels were fucked. And a lot of that had to do with just kind of this drinking and drugs and partying lifestyle. And so I went to the Super Bowl in 2019, and that was one of the last times I really got like hammered. And I got super fucked up and blacked out, and then I got sucker punched by someone at the Sports Illustrated party. We were talking shit to each other earlier in the night. I was talking shit on the Patriots. He was talking shit on the Rams. I'm neither fan. I'm just don't like the Patriots, so I was rooting for the Rams. And anyway, when we left, I was walking away and then got blindsided and broke my nose, and it was a whole fucking disaster. And it just opened my eyes, though, that like even though it wasn't completely my fault, it wouldn't have happened if I wasn't getting shit-faced and wasn't getting hammered. And so that was my first break from alcohol. I took 100 days off and then went through a little breakup and started drinking again and kind of falling right back into the old pattern, so to speak. And then after, kind of drinking and kind of falling back into the same place, I was like, all right, I'm gonna take another 30 days. And then this time when I come back, I'm going to try to be a little more intentional with my consumption. So took that 30 days and then started drinking again, but I eliminated hard alcohol. So I was just drinking beer, wine, and seltzers. And this was big for me. It allowed me to kind of just stay on top of everything. I'm a consumer. I like to chug. I like to drink fast. So if I'm drinking hard alcohol, it can turn real quick, right? So the wine, seltzers, and beer definitely allowed me to become more intentional with my consumption of alcohol and just kind of slow down and become a little more patient. And that was a big help for sure. And then, I kind of just went on this path of, taking 90 days off, 30 days off, and then drinking for 30 to 90 days, depending on, the window or whatever. And that kind of just continued until, this last year when just really hadn't been drinking a ton. Like, I'll have some beer or wine at the pool side is kind of what I was doing, but never drinking at night, really, never going out late or allowing it to fuck up my sleep. And, so I realized that, like, I enjoy alcohol and, like, even in smaller amounts, I think it's great, but it easily becomes habitual. So, one day, you have like 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever, and you're fine. And then the next time, maybe you have one more, and then maybe it goes a little later, an hour later, and then now all of a sudden you just, you don't feel quite right for like 3 or 4 days. And then it's like if you're continuing to drink on top of it, if you're drinking every week, you don't realize how much your sleep suffers. So I track my sleep, been tracking it since 2018 with an Oura Ring. And it's insane. It really takes like a month of being sober to really like allow those benefits to settle in and allow your nervous system to calm. So even people that are just drinking once a week, they don't realize how it's affecting their sleep. Drinking on Friday or Saturday, it's still affecting your sleep that next week. And if you're drinking again, it's affecting it a little more, and it just kind of knocks you down a peg until you realize, like, oh shit, how far have I fallen? And that's kind of where I was at. I just realized that alcohol doesn't serve me to the level it used to. It was a big thing for me to escape and to kind of put off the issues and problems that I had. So in the short term, it was a great coping strategy for me. But over time, you just realize that this isn't sustainable, and I didn't like who I was becoming. I didn't like the output and production that I was having on my business and in my life and in my training. So I just thought that it would be a good thing to slow down with. And so yeah, I've been a year, just under a year, about 11 months, no alcohol. Haven't used any like hard drugs or Adderall. I haven't used Adderall in many years. That was one of the hardest things to get off of. I used that throughout college and even some high school. I wasn't prescribed to it. Just, I had a reliable friend, we'll say, that was prescribed. So I was able to get him through him. And, I used it kind of like as if I were prescribed because, I probably could have gotten prescribed since anyone can. But I just... that I knew that was destroying my mental health and like turning me into a shell of myself. And so I knew that had to stop. So that I quit pretty much cold turkey. There was like a little bit of a taper, but that was extremely challenging. It was really hard to get the type of work done that I had become so accustomed to using Adderall with, stuff in front of the computer, paperwork, writing long things that I didn't necessarily want to write. It was really hard to retrain myself to get to the place where I felt confident enough to do those things. So that was a tough one. Meditation, breath work, sauna, cold plunges, those all really helped me just kind of understand addiction and understand reliance. And it's like, we all don't want to label ourselves addicts until like something terrible happened, but you really want to get ahead of that. And it's like I was able to admit to myself that I have addictive behaviors, and that maybe I haven't let it hit rock bottom in all facets of my life, but I was on that path. And so it's good to have that foresight. And meditation, breath work, cold plunges, sauna, all those things kind of helped me slow down and really kind of regain control of my nervous system and feel more equipped to handle all the stressors and day-to-day things that burden us. So 11 months sober now, feeling really good. 6 of those 11 months, I took a break from THC of cannabis completely. Now I had been using it basically once a week, just on Saturdays, and I found that was a good flow and rhythm for me. And then when I travel, I allowed myself to use it a little bit more. But I'm also gotten to the point now where I'm going to take a new break. So I'm day 1 on no THC. Yesterday was my last day. I'm going to take another month or 2 off, maybe 3, 4, I don't know. And then get back to just that once a week vibe. I found that worked well for me because it gives me a lot of the different perspective that THC or cannabis can give you. But I find that when you're using regularly, it doesn't really allow you to implement a lot of those new creative ideas. So I found with the once a week, I get a lot of that benefit and that different perspective on what's going on in my life. But then it gives me time to implement, and it doesn't mess up my sleep just once a week. That's another thing, is people utilize THC to fall asleep and to like improve their sleep. And I kind of was that same way. I did that for a while. And I realized that once I completely got off of it, like after, 3 weeks of not having it in my system, I started to, and not drinking as well, and, doing everything. My sleep, which was already really good, became elite, became next level, like feeling just absolutely energized when I wake up. So anything that you think is helping your sleep is probably not. The way to sleep the most efficiently is to have no outside substances other than like maybe some supplements from like magnesium or some glycine, some inositol, some L-theanine. These are all natural compounds that can help your sleep a little bit. So those are some things that I'm all for. But at the end of the day, like, what's going to help your sleep the most is not eating super late, not overstimulating yourself early in the morning or late at night, and making sure you get lots of sunshine. Those are kind of like the biggest things that are going to really help you get your sleep. But sleep is all about consistency. It's like building habit and routine and holding to it for a long period of time. So a lot of times people will try something like, it didn't work after a week or two. I'm like, yeah, well, the reality is sometimes it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 months of consistency to really see that result. And that's the trick, is like, most people are so impatient, and they'll try something for a little while, but they don't get the results they want. And a lot of times is like, you just got to keep going. It's that exponential growth kind of curve. It starts off basically flat, week 2, week 5, week 7, and then it starts to taper up and then skyrockets. So sometimes you just got to stick it through. But anyway, I just find that being sober for the most part is way more in alignment with who I want to become. It allows me to stay more adhered to my goals and my passions, my purpose. So, if you found this video helpful, be sure to subscribe, comment, follow, and much love.